Hey guys, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Shannon Welch. So welcome, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing awesome, fellow ENFP. Um,
Ah!
so Shannon, what kind of ENFP are you?
ENFP, I am a double feminine Ne-Fi.
And then what's the rest of the animals?
Oh, um, so I was tentatively labeled as consume, play, sleep, blast.
And then
Or blast last, that is.
how do you feel about it when you got your type back? Did you think it was right?
Yeah, I had myself labeled as double feminine, Ne-Fi, consume, sleep, play. Um, but I can see what they mean. Like I don't have the like the high sleep mope thing going on. So,
So you thought you were a mope at first, like consume sleep, right?
well, I definitely have like a really elaborate inner world that I'm like in a lot. So that's what I was kind of thinking of. Um but yeah, I also see people with higher sleep who literally look like they are half asleep all the time, and I don't look like that. So like, okay, it could just be like the fact that play needs to be externally activated.
Yeah, I know what you mean with people with higher play because I work in the fitness industry and I have a client
Yeah.
that I trained earlier today, and he's definitely sleep first because even in the middle of the workout, like his eyes, he's sleeping during the middle of the workout. Like his eyes, yeah, he's doing like shoulder press, and his eyes is closed. Like he's sleeping during like his workout, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm kind of laughing, right? And I'm like, oh my god, this guy is like definitely sleep first, sleeping during like in the middle of his like exercise, you know. But it doesn't get any more obvious than that. But so Shannon, I was looking at your Facebook just briefly, and
uh,
you're a massage therapist.
yes.
Um, so do you feel like it's very like in line with kind of like your personality type, like your animals, your
Yes.
yeah? And
Hmm.
how do you? Why do you say that? Like, why do you think it's very in line?
That was a huge like self growth. That was a huge self growth thing for me, in that like, I could just see all the possibilities and all these ways to go. Like, should I go about what my end goal this way or that way or this way, or I don't I don't want to dedicate 8 years to doing one thing to find out it's not my thing. And this was like, okay, this is a year less of my life to learn. It doesn't have to be my permanent thing. It's very controlled, limited sensory, but I'm also forced to engage in sensory all the time. So I was um, growing in that way. Um, and yeah, I mean, at this point, I've been doing it for so long, it's on autopilot, and I get to sit there, like when people are asleep or half asleep, and like do my own processing. So it's not like painful to go in there and do the same repetitive stuff. I actually like get to have my sleep time.
And when you're helping your clients, kind of you know, get rid of their knots and whatnot, because
Uh-huh.
like I think you're doing a little bit of trigger point there when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
massage
Yes.
therapy. So I work in the fitness industry, so I kind of understand
Yeah.
where you're coming from. Do you feel like it's very intuitive for you to find out like where their problem is? Like sometimes you just talk to them and you kind of already have a good idea like which muscles they have the
Oh
issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I also immediately know like the emotional issues that are happening and causing that, like the trends.
Nice, nice. Can you give an example of like what kind of patterns you saw or kind of like what you felt like when you automatically saw like, oh, clearly this person has this emotional problem or whatever.
Yes. Like I see with a lot of women that come in, and they'll be mostly loose, and then they'll just have like the most intense neck tension ever, like concrete. And I'm like, oh my god, like that is so much repressed anger and so much like I'm just trying to be nice, when they just want to like actually go rah, like,
Yeah.
and stand up for themselves. So I really like work out their necks and then just start like slowly suggesting like I find the right question to ask them and find out, oh yeah, you know, like my boss has been pissing me off for so long and like they're just too agreeable and don't know how to stand up for themselves. And I start like kind of guiding them, like taking my other hand, like very gently, like slamming my fist against the table and be like, yeah, screw that, right? And they're like, yeah, yeah. And then they take this full release, and all of a sudden, like, I don't even have to do the work. Like, their neck just releases. And they come out like, I feel so much better. I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to come in and ask for what I want. Yeah.
What's it sounds like a lot of your clients have well the example that you gave at least has feminine with a tribe and masculine
Yeah.
internal world. That's why they're so pissed inside, and then like
Yeah.
you kind of like pulled it out of them, so you're not just helping them release their muscle, you're also helping them release their pent up negative emotions,
Yes.
like when you were talking about neck issue and anger, I was like, I have that. Like my neck is
Yeah.
my neck is always stiff, and like and it's probably from anger, like I go to work, I'm like, I don't want to do this BS work, like
Right, because even though like you're really into it, it's still like you're still working those demons, right? So it gets probably tiring and frustrating, even though you're like kind of passionate about it. I don't want to deal with all this sensory BS. Oh my god!
yeah
Everyone just do it.
yeah, or try BS too.
Oh my god! Right?
So why don't we segue to that then? So you're self-above tribe as an ENFP now.
So much.
Now, even though you're self-above tribe, it's still considered as like secondary to um, being a gatherer. So it's not like as bad
Totally.
as an IP. I'm not. I wouldn't say as bad, but like you're like an EPIP,
Right.
but you're still a double decider. So can you give me a story of like when you were clearly very selfish and people got pissed at you?
My entire life.
Okay, well, like think of one that like that's really, it's pretty bad. Like even you think that's pretty bad.
So I get like control issues when it comes to like I'm chill about most things, but when it comes to like my personal space, like literally my bedroom, like I don't like it touched. Like I don't want my stuff touched. Even if you're trying to, I don't like when people like do favors for me without asking.
Oh
Like
my God.
people try to do that demonstratively. Like, oh, I saw that like your laundry needed to be switched out, so I did it for you already. Like, no, I lose my mind. Like it's so upsetting to me, and I can't. Even though now I'm like, as I've matured and gone on, I'm understanding like they're not trying to control you. It's still like this involuntary like, why do you hate me? Like it feels like such a slap in the face, and I hate it and I can't stand it. Well, one day, like the way I moved out of my parents' house and like moved on with my life was that I came home and discovered that all of my stuff was moved, and like my room had been admittedly messy for a week because I'd been working so much. And my parents said like, oh, we're having company, can you please clean up? And I said, I will clean up when I get home from work, but otherwise like close the door. Why? They're not going to be there in my room because I don't let anybody in my room. Well, I came in and saw all my stuff was moved, so I just like, and my mom came in and was like, I was like getting angry, slamming my stuff down. Here's your stuff. I was just helping. And I just didn't respond at all. No response. Waited until that was done. I packed up all of my stuff, like everything I owned, into a car in 20 minutes and sat down for 10 with them around dinner time no, it's the same day. And then told them, I'm leaving. I'm just moving out. That's it. Like, no warning, like, nope, just gone. Like, I found a place in a couple of minutes online, packed up my stuff, and I left, and I've never come back. And, they were pissed at me about that for 10 years, or like good 2 years. Because EJ freakouts.
So your mom is an EJ then?
Oh, my whole family are EJs.
Both your mom and dad are EJs?
Yeah, like masculine EJs too.
Oh wow! Like what kind of EJs? Like ESFJ, ENFJ, or like ENTJ?
Yeah.
If you guess, if you
E-
were to guess.
an ESTJ and a masculine ESFJ.
Oh my God! It's like,
Yeah.
are they both like the controlling types too? Like the SI?
Holy mm-hmm. Holy moly.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. How did you stay for so long?
I was not allowed to have privacy. Like, I wasn't allowed to do anything, without their permission. And like, they would like jump ahead and do everything before I could do it. Like, it was bad to the point that I had to just like basically metaphorically punch them and run and be like, get over it.
Like just like listening to your story, I don't feel like you were being selfish. I kind of put myself in your shoes, and I would have probably done the same thing. As a matter of fact,
I could have like been more flexible with them and been like, well, here's the process I'm doing to leave, and this is why. But I guess if I had been like, I don't know, like nicer or less I don't know. But I couldn't. I just couldn't anymore. I had no patience. I was losing my mind, for years trying to like get permission to go. And I realized I'm never going to get like permission, and they're never going to be okay with me like doing what I got to do until I do it. Because of that masculine.
I honestly don't think you did anything wrong. Like I feel like
Really?
just like as a fellow ENFP, whatever the story you just told me, I actually did the exact same thing as you. Like my
Really?
mom, my mom is an ISFJ, right? She's extremely controlling too. And I got to that breaking point. We had this one fight, and then she was trying to control my life. And she went to Vegas. And the moment she went to Vegas, I packed all my stuff, found a place, and also left. So completely
good for you.
I completely understand where you're coming from. Completely understand why you did what you did. Don't think you did anything wrong.
I really wish it didn't have to be like that. Like, I wish it could be more harmonious and mutually understood and supportive. But when push comes to shove, like, you got to adult. You got to live your life. You got to own your life.
Have you spoken to them since you moved out?
Well, yeah, that was years ago. And we keep in contact.
So you're more or less okay now, or do they hold a grudge for what you did?
Oh, they held a grudge for a good 2 years.
And they wouldn't.
And they got mad again, very angry with me when I up and left 1,000 miles away for school. And that's just going to be the pattern. Like, they get really pissed, they get really scared. I go do things, and then after a while, like, they get over it.
Yeah.
It's just hard because that's the one part that makes like living my life stressful. And I wish I could like figure out a better way to deal with it. But it's also like not my job to, deal like walk adults through their issues when they're not asking for it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's not your
I feel like it would almost be disrespectful to sit there and be like, well, you know what, like, you're effed up in this way, and let me tell you all about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like you said, you're not responsible for them to grow. It's their responsibility. So
Right.
Do you have any siblings, or are you the only child?
Yeah, I'm actually the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger brother.
And what's your relationship like with your brothers?
My younger brother is actually an ESFJ himself. Um, he and I were usually fairly close. He owns a gym out in Flagstaff, so he's a fitness guy like you.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, we Snapchat each other. And I'm just always so. He was like the golden child between all of us. You know, never went anywhere, never did anything. Just like worked really hard, did like complied to everything my parents wanted and asked for. And then he finally did something for himself and like went to Flagstaff and everything and started this gym. And I just tell him all the time, every time I talk to him, like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Like, yes, own that, you know, inferior identity. Like, do it. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about your older brother?
So he's an ESTP. It's interesting, like we're not very close. We don't really have any kind of contact. He lives nearby my parents, has a wife and kids and everything. He's pretty healthy for an ESTP in that way. But when we do actually like hang out in person, like he really respects what I do as a massage therapist, and I'll go over there when I'm in Pennsylvania and work on him before he does jujitsu. So before his matches, I would like massage him, and when we're there, like there's just this silent, like mutual respect, understanding.
Yeah.
Because like we're both EPs and like have a lot of similar likes and views and desires in that way. It's just all comes together in different ways.
Just wondering, do you know anything about the Enneagram?
Yes.
Are you a type 4?
It's a wing.
It seems like you're extremely type 4, and especially because you're also like a middle child too. So it's like, you know, like when the middle child is kind of like trying to stand out, I guess, you know.
Well, I'm not purposely trying to, if that makes sense.
I mean, you don't really have to because you're the only female too. So you kind of have your, you know, you already stand out. But
I definitely like was made to feel that, like, I don't know if they were doing it on purpose, but I always kind of felt like the underlying, it's probably just coming from me, but the message I was getting my whole life was like, you're different and there's something wrong with you.
Oh.
And me being like, well, screw you. Like,
that's funny.
I'll be the best different ever.
Yeah. Definitely a rebel EP. So before we did the interview, when I was like messaging you on Facebook, I asked you, what is masculine consume like? Because your NE and FI is both masculine. So, like, do you get obsessed with like learning things, or do you get obsessed with like watching TV or TV shows or eating?
Oh man. Like intense obsession is like one of the first things. Intense cerebral obsession. It's probably like, if you could summarize my personality in 3 words.
So I'm guessing if you're like consuming something and someone bothers you, you get really pissed off. Like if you're in the middle of that, like consume session. You know?
Yeah, especially if it's like, come over here and try. I'm like,
nope. but you don't say anything either because you have blast, right? So you kind of just give. So you just look pissed, but you're not saying anything to them.
And then just like go over and do the absolute minimum and try to go back to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like this, like I do not care about this. Leave me alone.
Do you have any example when you did that? Like, you know, like you're consuming something, whether like, you know, something you're trying to learn something, or you're trying to watch one of your favorite shows on Netflix or whatever, that you and then someone tried to bother you and you're like, like fuck off pretty much,
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, that's like what I'm doing like 100% of the time, that I'm not attending to things I have to attend to, like my job or homework or whatever. It's just I live in consume land. And if I'm suddenly like, if I'm not expecting anything to change and go to do that, like, oh my God, when I lived at home, right? My younger brother and I still lived at home. Like, I'd get home from work and I'm like, okay, it's consume time. And I knew if I went and sat up in my room that everyone would like have a problem with it and bother me. So I would go sit down next to them as a way of like fulfilling their need for like, you have to be here, but like not doing anything. I'd sit next to them with my book and like my laptop and whatever, and headphones in, and just do my like consume thing and be happy like next to them, so that they feel like I don't hate them or whatever. And that's what I was expecting to do for the evening. Like, oh God. And then my younger brother would all of a sudden be like, hey, so can you massage me now? And I'd get so effing pissed. Like, no, I cannot. Like, and he doesn't understand why I can't just do that. Like, what do you mean? You're just sitting here doing nothing. Like, you've been off of work for hours. Of course you could massage me. I'm like, no, I can't. Like you need to schedule this or like pay me or something.
Yeah.
Like, this is my consume time. I am doing something. Nothing is doing something.
I even though you're self above tribe, it's obvious that you're still a double decider, because like you knew what your family kind of wanted, like in terms of like you knew that they were EJs, they needed like your presence to be in the same room, even though you weren't doing the same thing. So you kind of like, gave a little, you were still like sharing in a little bit of your presence. I know it sounds kind of arrogant, but like, you still went to the same room as them, and you're like, okay, I'll do my consume here. So we're still in the same room. We're still doing family stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my way of making a win-win solution. Because honestly, like it was either figure out a win-win solution or like allow things to escalate into massive, needless, energy draining fights. Because like me, I want to go up in my room, shut out all sensory, and be left the hell alone. But they would start doing things like walking into my room, being like, get down here. Like, what are you doing on a Friday, Saturday night, just sitting here by yourself? That's weird. Come down here. I'm like, it's weird for you. It's not weird for me, dude. Like, but then I realized, well, like what they say is not what they mean. What they mean is, I want to be around you, or like, I have this need. So I'm like, okay, like, so my solution is I'm going to do what I want to do, just and give you a little bit of what you want, so that I can be free to do what I want to do,
It's funny that you can decode their message, It's like that's actually not what they said, but you knew exactly what they meant.
It's all the typology knowledge that enabled me to do that. Because before, like growing up, like literally everything they ever did, like never made a lick of sense to me. Because I just don't relate to any of that stuff, any of that mentality.
Now, let's talk about your worst demon, your SI. So,
it's feminine too.
Yeah, and they also said that double deciders have problems with fear, and specifically for ENFPs, the fear is from being controlled, and controlled in the kind of more sensory world. So it's not so much like an NI control that freaks us out, because it's more like the SI control that freaks us out. So can you talk about any life experience or stories where you just went absolutely, ape shit crazy, like when someone, tried to control you in the SI realm?
Nothing's like clearly coming forth for me. Like I know I definitely do, and probably have a ton of stories, but for some reason it's not like
Yeah, that's fine. Take your time because you have feminine SI, right? So to access that to reflect back in the past, it's gonna be more muddy, I guess.
Like even me leaving college, that whole episode was like, okay, here are all these preset ways and paths to do something, and it wasn't working for me, and I was expected, oh, you'll just figure it out, and like none of it just seemed right. And I kept asking the same questions, and nobody, like, I just got blank stares. So that was a little bit of a freak out, because it was like, I can't just follow this straight path when it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't want to have to go through more than I have to get to where I want to get to.
What about in dating? Have you dated any IJ kind of guys who
IJs?
Yeah. Oh, what kind of type?
Never last long.
So IJ, okay. So
I don't get it, because they say like that's supposed to be like my ideal type, but it just never. Oh my god.
Have you dated an IJ before?
Last long. Mm-hmm.
Like which one? Which one? ISTJ, INFJ, INTJ? ISFJ, I guess.
Yeah, very, very short period. I guess, like, attempted to date an IJ, as heavily suggested to me.
And which kind of IJ was it?
INFJ.
INFJ, okay.
And it was hands down the worst dating experience like I've ever had.
How come?
Partially because I was pressured into it. Wasn't actually attracted. He was too immature for me, and like a weird combination of controlling and yet like not reactive in the physical realm, you know, like too rigid and narrow in like how things were going to go. And then when I was there going, okay, like let's do things, like there was nothing. It was just like getting stared at by a brick wall.
Was this person like lead sleep or something, or?
I have no idea, and I don't care to know.
I see. Well, which type did you date that you found like you really mesh with?
It's always IPs. And, well, I usually I'm drawn to IPs the most, but IPs and EPs work pretty well. I notice I'm consistently attracted to masculine sensory and masculine thinking.
So INTPs and ISTPs then are, I guess, your favorites?
Not necessarily. Like, but yeah, I did. Though looking at my history, I did like end up with a lot of STPs, and then ended up with another NF who happened to have masculine sensory.
So you prefer to date someone with masculine sensory then? Like,
mm-hmm.
I see. And I guess masculine thinking too, like introvert thinking is.
I do like masculine introverted thinking.
Like ENTPs then? You read like ENTPs with masculine
mm-hmm.
thinking?
Oh. Yeah, ENTPs and INTPs. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's candy.
Yeah. Is it also because they're kind of quirky and weird? Like,
yeah.
Like, and you like that like weirdness too? Like it's.
Oh my god! Like the weirder the better.
Interesting. I see. What about that? That kind of reminds me of my sister, actually. My sister always likes to date. Like she's type 4, INFJ, and she always dates guys who are like weird, like really weird. And the weirder the better too. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
just feel more comfortable and like and consistently interested. Yeah, if there's just something like very unique, like different about them.
So you would kill yourself then if you had to date like an ESTJ who's like very like by the books and like and like and like, hey, we've been dating for 5 years, time to get married and have kids, and let's go get a mortgage. And
oh my god, I dated someone like that for a year.
That's pretty long, a year.
It shouldn't have gone on beyond a few months, honestly.
Yeah. And how was that?
A lot of alcohol involved. I was like attracted to all the information. Like he was actually pretty intellectual for an SJ. I mean, no, I'm sorry, that's a hard no. Censors. I'm sorry. So I should say like in like. How do I phrase this?
It's okay.
SJs like are smart, but they're not like they're usually not into the end like higher academic like want to shoot the shit with you. Like they usually talk about that for a couple of minutes and then want to go back to like, let's pick out which floor we want today, honey.
Yeah.
More logistic, more practical. He was more willing to talk about like higher academic stuff. That's what like kind of drew me in.
Was it a jumper, SJ then?
I think so.
Okay.
I really think so. And he was the most like outgoing social person I'd ever dated. A little too much, way too much for me actually. But again, that's where the alcohol came in. But like where it came down to where things just fell apart and got awful was I was bending over backwards to like accommodate the situations, and when I didn't do what he specifically wanted and told and asked for accommodation, like he couldn't see it and took it as like maybe if I'm not good enough thing. I don't know. Like he told me, your choices are you can finish your degree, like you can work full time and finish your degree on the side doing that and give me all the money, or you can like move in with me now so that we can like start a family. And I was like, no.
What do you mean give him all the money?
So that he could control the finances. And
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it makes some sense because like he was an accountant, but I also like sat there and heard stories about how he controlled the finances of his family, like asking for the cell phone bills and paying for the cell phone bills, and would like take extra money for himself, like overcharge them. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, you're not getting.
That sounds horrible.
Money. Like this is how you get trapped in and get abused. Like, no, this is like a toxic relationship waiting to happen. Like, no, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you saw that coming, eh? That's pretty obvious. That's what it is.
Like we can have two accounts and then our own, and then a joint account. But like, no, I'm not just going to hand over all of my independence and give it to you.
Yeah. Was he an IJ then, or what is this person?
I still don't entirely know to this day. I suspect like an ESJ.
Or ESFJ or ESTJ. But this person's not so controlling then, like to demand for you to give him all your money and like control your like. Okay, that's pretty crazy, but okay. Let's switch gears to your feminine blast. So you have double feminine blast. So what? So what do you do with that?
I don't.
You don't do it. You don't use it.
Yeah, I have to like plan and prepare a lot to do any kind of blasting.
When you were in school and you did like a presentation, that's blasting, right? So what did it look like? You know?
That looked like me gathering and preparing for weeks on end, and then finally like getting up there, like waving my hands around a lot and being like, yeah, like stuff. The end. Here's all my pretty images. You get the point. And then everyone going, wow, you're so expressive. I don't even know what just happened, but you're expressive.
So your presentation was entertaining, but maybe but maybe not. Maybe people had trouble like with the learning the sensory stuff itself, because then maybe there wasn't any sensory stuff. It was more for.
It was probably good, I think, because I got good grades. But for me, I wasn't satisfied because it wasn't like expressing to the level of elaboration and thoughtfulness that I wanted.
Yeah.
Because you really have to cut down in order to sensory.
Yeah. So I guess what you were picturing in your head didn't come out.
Yeah, like when I have to blast and sensory blast, like it just never compares to like what's in my head.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
You know what's very interesting is like I've interviewed a few ENFPs now, but I think you're one of the ENFPs I've interviewed that clearly has masculine NE.
Yeah.
I can't even like explain what it is because I have feminine NE, right? But like, your masculine NE, it's almost like when you want to talk about something, you kind of obsess over that like one topic. Like you don't want to until you finish talking about it completely. You don't want to switch gears. I don't know if you.
I know.
You know what I'm
it's so bad.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm
like,
pretty self-aware.
Like, because like I've interviewed a bunch of ENFPs before, and you're the first person I've interviewed that's an ENFP that has demonstrated masculine NE to like the most obvious masculine NE, like, you know, like I had trouble figuring out what masculine NE is, but then I'm talking to you now, I'm like, oh
yeah,
that's masculine NE.
I'm like, no, wait, there's tunnels. Like there's tunnels in this concept that we still haven't walked through yet. Let me show you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wanted to switch gears a few times, and you're like, nope, we gotta finish this topic. No, we're not finished yet. I'm cool with switching, but let's finish this tunnel first, you know?
Yeah, like I don't know why. Like it just like burns in my soul and my brain until I like make sure, oh yeah, that's I'm sure like that's the block. Okay. Blocks are lined up. Good.
Yeah. And like the other thing I noticed too is like with your masculine NE, like you could almost ignore what the other person said and then just keep going with like that tunnel that you wanted to finish, you know?
I actually acknowledge it and have it like sitting right here, like up here in my thought process and just finishing and then going, okay, and anyway.
Yeah, like I guess you put it like in your back pocket. It's like, okay, we'll revisit that. Let's go finish this tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you also have masculine FI. So I have masculine FI. So let me ask you this: do you get obsessed over things, like really obsessed, like almost like uncontrollably obsessed over something? Like you can't. Like once you get obsessed, it's almost hard to deviate from it. Like it gets really bad too. Like even like you should do something else, but then
like so often to a destructive level, like where the rest of me is like, this is stupid, right? Like you're hurting yourself, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make sure I understand everything. I love it. I want it. I want it. I want it.
Yeah, and like and the weird things, you know what the other person's saying too. Is like, I get what you're saying, but I can't stop. Like it's almost like you know.
Yeah.
Now tell me a story when you got really obsessed, and then you knew it was bad, but you couldn't stop. You couldn't stop. Obsession was just too strong.
I'm embarrassed.
You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but you can if you want. No, we don't. Do you have another example if you don't want to use like the embarrassing one?
I guess there are instances where like I'll think for a second by accident that someone might be into a topic or interested in a topic that I'm really into, and I start talking, and then I see that they're like shocked and like not into it, but I can't stop.
But is that FI though, or is that masculine NE still? That sounds like you're using a masculine NE. Like you're
Good
so obsessed.
point.
Like you're obsessing still with that tunnel. So like FI is kind of like you're
Um,
emotionally obsessed over something. Like
oh yes. Okay, so I was embarrassed, but I'll just say it anyway.
okay,
Like with my relationships, like when they don't, like even if I see it's not gonna work out, it's not good, like it's not gonna end well, it didn't end well, I can't let it go. Like I have to like, well, one from the NE perspective, like I have to figure it out from every angle. And am I absolutely sure that I did everything that I could? And like, what am I getting out of this? And like, do I fully understand? Like, do I fully understand it? Like, I need to like, I just keep holding on to that feeling and that meaning, and like long past the expiration date.
like did you feel like that person was like your soulmate then, or something, or like did you feel like it was just like a road bump and then you could make it work, or did you feel like did you know?
Yeah, I'm always like, you know what? Like, if they just understood properly, then we'd fix it and we'd be together.
Yeah. And did you feel like you were more like attracted to that kind of like relationship then? Like,
Attracted to the relationship?
yeah, like because it's more like it's almost like more exciting, like it's like bumpy, like as opposed to like a smooth sailing one. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I found I actually discovered the other night that what it is, like especially with the STPs, is I'm looking for somebody, like I'm looking to merge and heal with my shadow aspects, and I want my shadow aspects to like want me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
And
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, keep going.
like I want like I was so like frightened and confused by like masculine FE in my life, so I wanted like somebody with like masculine TI and feminine FE who was like ST, with ST consciousness, to like actively really want me and accept me, and like maybe even like kind of do the FE manipulation thing in a way that felt more safe, so that I could like process all that and like be okay with my demons and like everything.
So you wanted like a softer version of the masculine FE, like
Right.
just so you can understand it better, and but still you still have it, even though
Mm-hmm.
um
And I also felt like we could both benefit from the situation. Like I, as the IPEP, just want to build myself and my brand up so much, but you can't just create the best product and expect that the world's going to want it. And the STPs are like the salesmen, right, who can manipulate and get the people in the world to go, "Ooh, I want that." So there would have been like this mutual beneficial situation of like, I provide a product and they bring it in, and both parties are kind of validated through that
like some
and
kind of
get in touch with their demons.
almost like a teamwork. Like you want to be like
Yeah.
you want to be the designer, and then the other person will be like the person that pushes that design out in the world.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but from your experience, those kind of relationship has been a nightmare, right? Like, because
They never want me.
um, That's horrible. But like it's like a never ending loop. Like from what I can see, like it's like you want that, then you get in a relationship with that, then it falls apart, then you start seeing it again, and then it's like never ending. And you even try to deviate from it, and it didn't work out because you just didn't want the other ones. You know, like you tried
Right.
the INFJ, right, and it didn't work out. Yeah, yeah.
I love them to death as friends.
Yeah,
I really do. I'm just saying that right now. But relationship wise, like I can feel their control through the screen, and I can't.
I'm gonna ask you a question about ENFPs in general, because like I'm an ENFP. So, do you feel like when you come to a room that like when there's like a bunch of people in the room, can you feel everyone's feelings almost? Like you can like absorb people's emotions, or do you not have that? Nope. Like if you're like in a room, let's say, like you know when someone's sad in a corner, and like you can kind of you're in tune with like people's emotions, or would you say you're not?
Yes and no. It's like I view everything more. I'm viewing and doing this more analytically and mechanically.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And like I can feel like a vibe if something's like a vibe, and if something is off.
Yeah.
But I have to access it like kind of analytically.
Okay.
And like really pay attention.
Interesting. Okay, so your NE doesn't like, I guess it doesn't absorb all the emotion from the room, and like you take it in with your FI and then you process it. It doesn't work that way for you then.
Yeah, I'm kind of I have this like removed relation, like a removed observer relationship with the emotion that like I see, but I don't like feel it most of the time.
So would you say
like directly?
Would you say you're pretty disconnected then from other people? Like you have kind of have your own world, and it's kind of like separate. And
I have my own world. I have like, I guess, big walls because, it's that I have a lot of walls because I care about what I care about, and I can be very sensitive.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that what I'm investing my energy into is going to be the right thing.
Yeah.
So I don't wind up like hurt and drained. Because once I care, like I get really sensitive and really
like you get really obsessive.
Yeah, obsessive.
Because I interviewed Jonathan, the other ENFP in the group, and when I was talking to him, I was like, when I enter the room, I can pretty much like absorb everyone's feelings, and I'm like, no, stop! Like I almost can't stop it, right? Like it's like a magnet. And then he told me the same thing. He's like, yeah, me too. I hate that stuff. Like you come to the room, you absorb everyone's feelings, and then like you get overwhelmed, right? You're like, I need to get it out because I don't want to feel what they're feeling. It's not my feelings, it's yours.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't happen for me. It's like
so
you cannot move my feelings. F you.
No, but like I'm curious, where's the wall from though? Because like I've spoken to other ENFPs, and it seems like ENFPs in general have problems with boundaries, and you seem to have a pretty good emotional boundary until they're in, and then once they're in, then your boundaries are horrible. So you're just like you're still a bit opposite. So I'm curious where that's happening, like why, like what's causing that, because you're definitely like there's something different about the way you're processing things that I'm curious about.
That's my life experiences, I guess.
Okay. So you think it's more like nature then? It was nature that created those boundaries. It wasn't like
right, because it was like the only way I felt like I didn't have control in my life over my environment, and couldn't get the kind of validation and support in that way that I needed. Though God help them, I'm sure in their way they were trying, but again they were speaking a different language that didn't help me. So the only thing I could do was like
It sounds like you learned to build those walls from your family, because your family is heavily SI like dominant, right? Like very masculine SI and masculine tribe. So I would imagine if you were tribe focused and also SI focused, that you have a tendency to try to protect that, that sensitive inner core, right? So I'm gonna guess that maybe your family members are actually sensitive inside. They're trying to protect that sensitive inner core. They don't want anyone to see that weakness, quote unquote. I don't see it as a weakness, but maybe for them it's really tender and they don't want to show it. So and because you grew up in that household, like I interviewed
and I represent their demon.
yeah, exactly. So it sounds like it was nature then. It wasn't nurture. I mean, sorry, it was nurture. It wasn't nature. Like it sounds like you weren't like that when you were a kid. Like it built over the years. From
When you're the sensitive, like representative demon family, and they keep kind of beating you and being like, no, don't show. It was a very confusing combination of like, no, don't show emotion, like suck it up. But at the same time, it was like, no, you have to show appropriate emotion for tribe. It's all about whatever tribe wants. And I couldn't with that, so it was just none at all.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they were trying to force you to use FE, which is tribe values, and show the appropriate emotion.
That doesn't exist for me.
But you have FI. So what ended up happening is you got numb, essentially, from what I can tell. And as a result of that numbness, a wall formed, I guess. I don't really know, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, it can get pretty intense. Like if I'm really anxious or threatened, like it's complete, like I very involuntarily like go inside and shut down, and I'm like, I'm totally monotone, like you can't get in. I'm almost like catatonic.
Wow.
It's like just this TE robot just staring at you. Because that FI will not be moved.
I think your FI is super strong for like an E.
Yeah.
extra strong. Have you taken any time to practice your blast since it's your fourth? Like, have you been working on it?
What I'm doing right now, I'm moving soon. So I'm working on that right now. But when I'm finished and I moved and everything, I'm currently writing out a series of articles and then going to have them edited. Basically, I'm going to my Savior TE and ST friends and being like, does this make sense? And then I'm going to make like a YouTube channel presenting information.
ST information.
Basically, I'm going to translate NF concepts to STs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, about like alternative medicines and that sort of stuff.
Nice. That's interesting. Very NF concept to alternative medicine, like holistic healing and whatnot.
Because I get so much of the same questions over the years, like, is this good? Is that good? What's this? And I figured, let's get it out there. It's good stuff. I know what's good and what isn't.
Yeah. So Shannon, one last question for you is is there anything about the other ENFP's function that you're curious about? Like, maybe it's something that you don't have, like you don't have masculine SI, I guess, because we both have feminine, or we both have feminine TE and masculine FI, so that's what we have in common.
Yeah.
The only difference that we have is that you have masculine NE, which actually I'm super actually, like after talking to you, I'm like, oh, okay, that's masculine SI. Yeah, no, that was really good. Like that was super good actually. But are you curious? Is there anything about masculine SI from ENFP that you're curious about?
Is there anyone with masculine SI that I'm curious about?
Yeah, like how does masculine SI with ENFP works? Are you curious about that?
Oh, very much. Yes.
Yeah, because I have masculine SI, right? So it's kind of like when I'm seeing your masculine NE, I'm like kind of like shocked. I'm like, oh my god, it's so different from what I have. But like yeah, masculine SI is just I remember everything, like to the detail. Like
That's cool.
I knew what I did when I was 3 years old. I knew what I did, like, you know, like in
Wow.
high school, elementary school. I remember like the positioning of everything. Like, when I go to the public library borrowing the books that I wanted to borrow. Like I remember everything. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if it's good or not, but it's also
That's
bad.
amazing.
Yeah, I guess it's good in some ways, but it's also bad in the sense like you have like pent up anger that you'll never forget. Also,
Ah,
releasing that like emotion, it doesn't just dissipate and you're like free.
right. No, you have to process. You have to like FI process it,
Yeah,
but also like feel it in your body too.
yeah. I do notice though, like when I get a massage, I feel lighter, but like it comes back, right? So I'm like, okay, well, clearly I didn't like the massage is temporary, Like, so I'm trying.
Right. It's like exercise, how you do like one setup, you don't see a result. You do like 100 sit-ups repetitively over time, you start to see results.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you then. Maybe this is actually a good thing with someone that has feminine SI. How are you releasing those pent up emotions that you have, like so that it doesn't stay toxic inside?
Um, it's something I have a hard time controlling because it's very strong. It doesn't want to let go. Um, so it usually like I don't for a long time, and then all of a sudden, like at 3 a.m., I'll wake up and like uncontrollable, like crying or like angry crying or something. A lot of the time, I'm listening to music and like going for walks, like just playing through my feelings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The music thing actually that works really good. Oh, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. I learned something. Uh, cool.
I also found like recently, like, oh my God, I'm having such a hard time with it, but I'm doing it for the relationship and for self growth. I'm starting to date an INFP FI jumper.
Okay.
And he has masculine sensory and masculine FI. And I'm just like slowly, bit by bit, like trying to let myself like let go and trust him, like
Yeah.
with my feelings when the feelings finally start coming up.
Yeah.
Um, and oh my God, that's so hard. Like my FI doesn't want to do it at all. He wants to like punch somebody and tell them to go F off and like go, but I'm just having myself do it like bit by bit and telling him like explicitly, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going crazy. Like this is what I'm doing. And that's been good and helpful so far.
How does he react to it? Like when you tell him the stuff, is he understanding? Because he still has.
Yeah, and he has feminine NE, so he just sits back and he's higher sleep. So he just sits there and he listens 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 for me to go on for hours, and then all of a sudden just like summarizes it all in like 1 to 2 concise sentences. Like,
Nice.
it sounds like you're just upset because you missed your grandmother who just died. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
yeah.
That's like magic. That's like magic. Also, you needed him to explain what you're feeling then. Like,
Yeah,
you had to get it out in a big, like,
yeah,
big.
he was breaking it down into like the sensory, like this is just the simple, like what it is. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I see now. I see your feminine blast. Because the feminine blast is very, like, for ENFPs at least, it's very like muddy almost. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. It's like blah, 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 blah. And then like he's like sitting there like, because he has that intuition still, so he's picking it up
Mm-hmm.
and sleep processing it. And then when you're done, he's like, oh, okay, it's this. It's like, here you go.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's so cool,
Yeah, I'm like, damn it. But you're so right, it's so cool. Oh my God.
You're
I
like,
wish like I get so frustrated that I can't do that.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool though. So it sounds like whoever you're dating right now is working pretty well then. Like you guys,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's sweet. That's awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll have to update me a year from now, see what happens.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, this is brand new, so it'll be really cool to see how it evolves.
Yeah. All right, Shannon. Thanks for doing the interview. That was great. I learned so much from you actually. Like just
Yeah,
talking stuff.
same here.
Yeah, double feminine, ENFP, masculine, NE. That was amazing. Even your feminine blast, I learned so much from that. Like because I have a double feminine ENFP coworker, and sometimes like she's talking about stuff and it doesn't make any sense. Like I mean,
Yeah.
I get it after she goes on a huge like tangent, but like I'm like and people don't understand what she's doing, right? So she gets judged a lot, and I feel bad, right? And I'm like, okay, like she colors her hair too, like kind of like what you do, and she's
Mhm.
so I was like, that's so interesting. Okay, cool.
It's cool. Like, have you ever seen Lonely Island?
No, I haven't seen it.
I'm just gonna say, like, I always feel like Chironic, like,
Yeah.
just mumble fucking for like hours just to say something simple.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying because like I have the NE and like I'm an ENFP, right? So whatever you said, like I can like I know like if people are watching it, they're like, what the hell is she's talking about? And I'm like, well, I know what she's talking about. Chill, guys. Like guys, like I'm almost like I can translate it. Like the NE translator is kind of weird, but whatever. All right,
Well,
Shannon.
she's just lucky to have you.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop the recording now, so I'll say goodbye to everyone. So bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Shannon, again.